Hey up folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got something very special for all you petrol heads, DIYers and garage warriors. We're taking a look at the ANCEL DS600 BT. Yeah, it's the one that claims to bring dealer level diagnostics to your garage without selling your house. Now, if you've spent hours scratching your head when your dash lights up like a Christmas tree, then you're going to want to stick around, hit like, subscribe and let's dive in. So what is the DS600 BT? It's a diagnostic tool from ANCEL, an 8-inch Android 10 tablet paired with the Bluetooth VCI dongle, so it's completely wireless, no trailing leads, so you're not restricted to diagnose the vehicle from within the vehicle. You can step out with the tablet and diagnose and examine the vehicle from outside whilst diagnosing it. It's designed for UK garages, mobile techs and advanced DIYers. So you lot who don't want to pay dealership prices, it's definitely for you. It supports all systems diagnostics, so that's beyond the engine. We're talking electronics, ABS, transmission, SRS, you name it. And it even does ECU coding and adaptations, which is usually a function that's found in the more higher tier tools, but we'll mention more about that. In short, it's a serious step up, this particular tool, from the basic plug-in and hope type scanners. So let's run through some of the features and I'll tell you why they matter. So it's got all systems diagnostics, which I mentioned before. So basically, a lot of people don't know this, but unlike the cheap gizmos that only talk to the engine ECU, this thing goes deep. I mean, it's full module coverage, everything, not just the engine, ABS, transmission, SRS, electronics. So essentially it's comprehensive diagnostics. So it's really important when you're picking a diagnostic tool to ensure that it supports all systems diagnostics and not just the engine. You've also got to be careful. What some manufacturers do is they'll say it'll support, ABS, transmission and one or two other modules, but then the problem with that is you can only diagnose 4 modules. Why on earth would you want to buy a diagnostic tool that only diagnoses 4 modules? Their argument and logic is, well, it's the 4 essential systems that you might want to maintain or are the most commonly maintained ones. But that's, in our opinion, that's ridiculous. If you're going to buy a diagnostic tool, you want to buy a diagnostic tool that supports all systems, not just 4 systems. And it's not like it's costing them extra. Essentially, the software and the hardware has already been built. All they're doing is they're restricting it to 4 and then obviously reducing the price of the tool. But in our opinion, it's not really value for money. It's a tool that users are getting that really, yeah, it might diagnose 4 systems, but it's not really, in our opinion, in the best interests of the user, because it's unrealistic and not particularly practical to expect that a user will only ever have to diagnose 4 systems. But anyway, bit of a rant there. Moving on, it supports bi-directional active tests. So that means you can trigger pumps, fans, windows, etc. to verify repairs. So say, for example, a particular switch isn't working. How do you know it's the switch, or whether it's the actual mechanism in, say, the window or even the aircon or something? Well, with bi-directional controls, you can run those functions via, basically it's programmatic via the tool. It's quite powerful. So it's a real big step up for serious users. ECU coding and adaptations. So that's after you've replaced a module, you can basically code it to the particular car. Really important. Like, for example, if you're replacing a ABS control module. So obviously this is for like serious workshops and serious DIYers. And so it's a bit of a game changer in the sense that it doesn't just read and clear fault codes. It's doing the stuff that the more higher tier systems or tools do. It supports 34 plus service functions. So we're talking oil reset, service reset, injector coding, battery registration. Battery registration is becoming so much more common now with the newer vehicles, so it's incredibly important. DPF regen, that's a big one. We get a lot of people buying tools that support DPF regen and a whole host of other functions. In fact, if I just go into maintenance in there, I mean, just have a look at this. Super comprehensive. Given the price of this particular tool, we're kind of quite shocked that it's offering so much, not to mention lifetime free updates. I'll repeat that, lifetime free updates. It's just unreal. So you've got your air fuel ratio reset, AdBlue, air suspension matching, a brake pad reset, EPB, very important when you're replacing the rear brakes. It'll basically just release the rear calipers for you to be able to replace the brake pads. DPF regen. Just trying to kind of point out the more sort of popular ones. EGR adaptation, gearbox learning, injector coding, that's a big one. Knock sensor reset. Now, knock sensor reset, it's very rare you'll find the higher tier tools will do it, but it's very rare to find a sort of a mid-range tool that supports that particular function. Well, not in our sort of experience, it's very rare to find that function basically. Oil reset, steering angle reset, it just goes on. It's phenomenal what the value for money that you're getting for this particular tool. Really, really powerful. One thing that I really want to discuss is the future proofing. So it supports CAN-FD, it supports DoIP. So these are protocols in the newer vehicles, really important. But what's really interesting about this particular tool and that really sets it apart from the others is it supports FCA, SGW. So this is a secure gateway. So what the Fiat group have done is they have implemented a firewall around their control modules. So in order to access them, you need the dealer tools, or you need a tool that supports FCA. And essentially what you have is you have something called AutoAuth, which is a completely separate independent organization. It has nothing to do with the tool, but they have an approved list of tools, and via their portal you're able to basically access the FCA SGW gateway. And so this tool is registered with them. So by using this particular tool, you can access the FCA gateway. So you can access Fiat Group vehicles control modules using this particular tool. So you could buy, say, there are tools out there that are £600, yeah, with larger screens than this, but they do not, I repeat, do not support FCA. So you've bought a £600 tablet and it doesn't even have FCA. So that's why it's really important when you're picking a diagnostic tool to be aware of these sort of nuances. Really, really important. And then it's also got VAG SFD. So again, similar to Fiat Group, the VAG Group are locking down their control modules. So there's something called SFD unlocking. Again, this supports SFD unlocking. But what it is you have to buy tokens. Now, these tokens aren't sold by the manufacturer of this tool. There are various sort of individuals out there who sell the tokens, so you can purchase the tokens, and once you've purchased the tokens, they'll essentially let you interact with a control module. So say, for example, you need to read or clear fault codes. It's not on all modules, it's certain control modules that will be locked down. It's not all vehicles either, it's a subset of newer VAG Group vehicles. And so essentially, in order for you to do any maintenance work, you put that token in. Once you put the token in, it'll give you like an hour or so to be able to do whatever you need to do. And once you've done that, the token will expire. Yeah. So that's these are the kind of, so again, I'll recap: CAN FD, DoIP, FCA, and VAG SFD unlocking. It's obviously completely wireless, and you can see back here, it's quite cool actually. So this dongle, it's completely magnetic. It's quite neat that, and it's proper solid build quality as well. You can tell it's a premium product. This, look at it. So it looks really solid build, premium build this. And then lifetime free updates. That's just insane. So as far as we're aware, right, we are not aware of any diagnostic tool that supports FCA. Yeah, because FCA is usually found in the higher tier tools. VAG SFD unlocking that comes with lifetime free updates, because usually those kind of tools have subscription fees. So they'll offer you two years of free updates. After that, it's like £200 to £300 in subscription fees, and it's crazy. We have had people come to us, right, and say they bought a tool for like £500-600, and then when it's come to renewing 2 years later, you've had companies, I'm not going to mention the company names, but certain companies have turned around and said, oh yeah, it's £300-400 for a subscription fee. And we've had people come to us and say, you know what, I might as well just pay a bit extra and just buy a brand new tool rather than paying the subscription fee. So always be careful. You might have an initial lower outlay, but in the long run, it might be quite costly. Right guys, that's enough now. I can talk for England, can't I? So let's put it through its paces now. Let's do a demonstration so you can see it in action. So let the tool speak for itself. So let's go ahead and diagnose. So I've plugged in the dongle, and let's go ahead. And so we're in a lovely Mini today. So let's scroll down to, should have Mini. So let's go into European, and then let's see where Mini is. There we are. There's Mini. All right, so it's just connecting via the VCI. All right. Oop, better make sure I've got ignition on. 1 second. There we are. All right, ignition is on. There we are. Beautiful. So let's go ahead. So we've got various different options. We've got automatically search, manual select, coding, program, special function. So let's just go ahead and let's see if we can automatically find the vehicle. So it's going to attempt to get the VIN number. Let's see if that works. And so you see, some tools can be incredibly slow at accessing the VIN number and just sort of diagnosing the control module. So it'll be really interesting how long this particular tool takes. Okay, it's not bad, not bad. That's you know, that's a decent speed. That I've used tools in the past. I've been waiting for minutes, and sometimes it even fails. So it's success that it's actually succeeded. So it's brought up the VIN number, and I must admit, I'm really impressed at the. I have not seen this before. I've not seen a tool actually bring back the mileage. Now it'll be really interesting to sort of see where that number is coming from, because it's a bit of a digression now, because obviously the mileage can be modified on the instrument cluster, but there's a certain place where the mileage is recorded where it can't be changed. So often what people do is when they go buy cars, they'll use a tool to actually check the other place to see if that mileage is actually genuine mileage. But right now, I don't know where that mileage is coming from. Is it coming from the instrument cluster, or is it coming from the other control module? But we might do a separate video on this, because we'd have to inquire from the manufacturer, because I know the tools from iCarSoft, CR Max, for example, I believe that has a particular function that can actually show you the genuine mileage. This probably does as well, but obviously this is just a quick video today. But anyway, a bit of a digression there. Development code R50, which is pretty impressive. Again, so clearly this tool has a database where it gives you more than just, because I've had tools where it'll just say Mini 1D, but it's actually given us the generation, which is really impressive actually. Gearbox manual, steering right hand drive, construction date, flipping heck. Yeah, it's quite impressive. That I've not usually seen a tool give this much detail. But anyway, let's go ahead, click next, and we'll read and clear some fault codes, or at least let's try reading some fault codes. Okay, so now it's doing an all systems scan. So it's going to go through every single control module, the engine control module, the electronics, ABS, as it's an all systems diagnostic scan tool. So obviously this part does take long. It doesn't matter which tool you have, even the dealer, like the proper dealer tools, because what's happening here is, unlike the cheaper scanners, this particular tool supports the proprietary manufacturer's protocols. So what it's doing now is it's communicating with every single control module. So like, for example, the TCM control module, it's using BMW's or Mini's proprietary protocol to read these control modules. And you see, that's one of the limitations of the generic OBD2 scan tools. So you've probably seen these dongles. You can buy them for like £10-15. They go even up to like £50, more like, they're not really that fancy, but it's just the way they advertise them. But essentially, these generic OBD2 diagnostic scan tools, all they do is they just read the engine control module, because the OBD2 protocol was initially designed for emissions reasons. It was designed to control pollution in America, in California actually. This is going way back, like in the 80s, early 90s. So then back then the US government legislated that vehicles had to implement the OBD2 protocol, and again it was primarily for emissions reasons. It was to control emissions on vehicles, and then obviously that meant it was needed they needed a uniform way of being able to diagnose vehicles, in particular the engine control module. So that's why the OBD2 protocol is restricted to the engine control module. And if there are manufacturer specific protocols, the OBD2 generic protocol won't be able to read those. That's why you need a scan tool that supports comprehensive proprietary manufacturer protocols. So then obviously coming to Europe and the UK, back in 2001, it was legislated that all vehicles had to implement the OBD2 protocol. So any vehicle 2001 plus, petrol or diesel, they have to implement the generic OBD2 protocol. So those tools you can use on any vehicle and they will work, but you'll only get access to emissions and basic engine diagnostics. You won't get in-depth diagnostics. Anyway, so we've got various different options here. So let's go ahead and let's just do system selection. And so it gives you a breakdown, drive, chassis, body. Let's do body. So we're getting there. And let's go, no, in fact, I'm going to go into drive and let's go into the immobilizer system as an example. Yeah. Okay, cool. So again, the generic OBD2 protocols would not be able to go into that control module, although they probably would be able to go into the engine control module. Anyway, so let's go in there, continue, and let's just read fault codes. Let's see if there's any. Oh, yeah. So we do have a fault code in there, and then it's quite fancy. You can report that. There's all sorts you can do. You could print that out. Just skip that. So you can save it as a PDF. So if you've got a customer, you can print that out. Really, really powerful. And one of the things about this particular tool is the interface it uses. The software it uses is actually found in the more higher tier scan tools that are used in workshops. That's what makes it really, really powerful, and it kind of surprises us. This is quite unique on the market in that sense. Let's just go back and. Oh yeah, just missed it. So there's a function there, actuation test. Yeah, so that's what lets you programmatically interact with like the windows and various other components. So for example, if you want to diagnose whether a switch is broken or not, like the indicators, for example, is it the circuitry? Is it the actual stalk? Well, you can use actuation tests to confirm. Even the cluster, you could even light up the whole cluster like a Christmas tree to ensure that all the bulbs and LEDs are working as they should, and the needles are working like they should as well. Right, it's the health report. If we select health report, we'll get an overview of the fault codes that are registered. It's much more convenient than going into individual control modules like I was before and having to sort of dig out the fault codes. So this is a lot more convenient. So let's just go ahead and go into health report. And yeah, that's more like it. So that's going to do a comprehensive scan across all systems. That's what makes this an all systems scan tool. Incredibly powerful, rather than having to individually go into control modules to look for fault codes. So it's essentially doing what it was doing before. It's checking every single control module and whether it's equipped or not. Oh, you can see there, look, it's found. So the ones that are marked as red, really, see how incredibly useful this can be. So you can see the anti-lock braking system, it's found 4 faults. And the immobilizer system, there's 1 fault there. So it's going to go through every single control module and give us a full breakdown. It's quite handy, then you can actually print it out as well, just to get an overview, and you can even share that with your customer as well. And it sort of informs them as well, and there's just some auditing and transparency there as well, which can make it look quite good on your part. Oh look, yeah, we've got some more errors on the SRS and on the central body electronic module. Wow, look at that. Now, I absolutely love visuals. This is really visual and really handy to get a full overview of the various faults on the vehicle. So 5 systems found and 10 DTCs, those are error codes. And then we can do a report. You've got your VIN number, click OK. And then you can add your garage details. If you run a workshop, technician name and so on. Super handy. And then you could save that as a PDF. You can share it. It just looks really professional and it's really transparent. And, you know, it gives the customer a clear overview and there's just complete auditing of the whole process. And I think it can really add to your workflow. And it's even a money maker, this, because you can print out reports and charge for diagnostic scans. Because rather than the customer going to the dealership, dealerships will probably charge 150 plus VAT for a diagnostic, a comprehensive diagnostic scan. Why not offer that as a why not offer that as a service? It's really quite in terms of what this tool has to offer in terms of opportunities. There's quite a lot of opportunities with this particular tool. So anyway, let's go back and go back again. And I am curious. And then obviously you've got special functions. So this is where, you know, you could do all sorts like EPB, service reset, DPF regen and what have you. So you got various special functions on here. I'm curious. I just want to demonstrate the bi-directional tests. So if we go into, let's just go back here, system selection, is it body, and then instrument cluster, and then click continue. And then let's run an actuation test. So for example, let's try the needle activation. So don't know if you can see that. Okay, so let's do needle activation. Let's do 100%, and then okay, let's do the active. So keep an eye on the instrument cluster. Let's activate. Whoa! Do you see that? That is pretty cool, isn't it cool? So that's allowed us to essentially test the needle to confirm it's working or not. So if we stop that, there you can see them going back. So in fact, look at both of those dials, the left and the right one, and I'm going to activate again. Look at that. That's pretty cool. And then we can stop. Okay, stop that, and then let's go back. And that was just one demonstration. There's so many more things that you can do. Let's try the lights. This is pretty cool. So watch this, yeah. So instrument lighting, 100%. Yeah, so let's try that. And then I'm gonna activate. Look at that. Yeah, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. You can see that. And then I can stop that. I'll just stop that there. Oop, stop. There, it's turned off. And then I'll just activate again. So you can see, right, you just keep an eye on the instrument cluster. Activate. Look at that. Yeah. So that's allowing us to test the individual components of the cluster itself. Really handy, super handy stuff. So I'm just going to stop that and go back. Let's go back again. Let's go back to the home screen. Okay, and in fact, if we do that, exit. Okay, and go back again. There we are. Right, folks. So overall then, in conclusion, if you're serious about diagnostics and you want to move beyond the basic code readers and want something that won't get you left behind by modern vehicles, then the ANCEL DS600 BT is a very, very compelling choice. It delivers depth, flexibility, wireless convenience and future proofing in one package. Now, if this sounds like you, you're working on more than one car, you're doing more than just, reading and clearing fault codes, then I would say this is a tool you definitely want to buy. They're currently selling quite fast and stock is limited. All you've got to do is just click on the link in the description below. That will take you to albionsure.co.uk, where the official authorized exclusive UK distributor for this particular tool. Now, do be careful. There are fakes, there are clones out there. They will damage your ECU. So you want to stay away from the clones. I mean, they might be cheaper, but in the long run, they will cause you a lot of damage and a lot of heartache. So hope you found this video useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.